Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're so glad to have you all with us this afternoon. I'm Aletta Margolis with Center for Inspired Teaching. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live Inspired Teaching Institute demo. Today, in just 30 minutes, you're going to learn about Center for Inspired Teaching and our engaging, invigorating programs. You'll join us for a virtual demo, and we'll have a brief Q&A session afterward. And if you have questions at any time, you're welcome just to put them right in the chat and we will see them. I want to tell you briefly about Center for Inspired Teaching. If you're new to us, we are not new. We've been around since 1995 here in Washington, D.C., serving teachers in the D.C. region and across the country and around the world who want to transform their classroom from a place of compliance to a place of authentic engagement. We partner with teachers as the leverage point for change, and we offer innovative professional development programs that help teachers build their practice to actively engage their students as empathetic, critical thinkers. Through our model, we want every classroom to build the 4 I's: intellect, inquiry, imagination, and integrity, through what we call the 5 core elements, which you see in the graphic here. And we believe these should be present in every classroom: mutual respect, student as expert, purpose, persistence, and action, joy, and wide-ranging evidence of student learning. All of our teacher professional learning is based in improvisation, as you will see momentarily when we get started. And that's because we believe great teachers think and act like improvisational actors. Both know how to build, not block. Both are keen observers, and both teachers and improvisational actors set clear objectives and are equipped with multiple strategies to meet them, even when there's surprise and uncertainty. So, improvisational theater can improve all sorts of skills that we value as educators, as this one piece of research shows. So let's get started. I'm going to call my colleagues all together now, and we're going to open with an activity that focuses on our first core element, mutual respect. Mutual respect means adults in school embrace relationship-based discipline, restorative justice, and other philosophies that authentically build self-discipline and intrinsic motivation and teach genuine responsibility. So in this activity, it's real simple. I'll go first. I'm going to share my name. This is a name game. You can play. We all play name games in the first days of school. It's very simple. I'm going to share my name. I'm going to share what it means to me today and an action and a sound that goes with it. And everybody repeats it 3 times. And the respect is simply that I am heard and seen, and I get to lead the group. So here we go. And I'll invite my colleagues. Turn your mics on. We're going to hear each other with all the wonderful messiness of LinkedIn. Aletta, curious. Aletta, curious. Aletta, curious.
Aletta,
Curious.
Cosby, guacologist. Crunch.
Cosby,
guacologist. Crunch.
Cosby, guacologist.
Crunch.
Cosby,
guacologist.
crunch. Christine, connected. Woohoo!
Christine, connected.
Woohoo!
Christine,
Connected. Woohoo!
Christine,
Connected.
Woohoo!
Jaquetta, creative.
Jaquetta, creative.
Ding.
Jaquetta,
Creative.
Jaquetta,
creative.
Isabel. Goofy. Ha ha.
Isabel.
Isabel.
Goofy.
Goofy.
Ha ha.
Isabel.
Isabel.
Goofy.
Ha ha.
Isabel.
Isabel.
Goofy.
Goofy.
Ha,
Ha ha.
Maria. Awake. Woo.
Maria.
Maria.
Awake. Maria.
Maria.
Awake. Maria.
Maria.
Awake.
Awake.
Michelle. Multitasking. Ah.
Michelle.
Michelle.
Multitasking.
Multitasking.
Michelle.
Multitasking. Michelle.
Yeah.
Multitasking.
Bella, joyful. Yay.
Bella.
Bella. Joyful.
Yay.
Bella.
Bella.
Joyful.
Joyful.
Yay.
Bella.
Bella.
Joyful.
Joyful.
Yay.
Jenna. Rowing.
Jenna.
Jenna.
Rowing.
Jenna.
Jenna.
Rowing. Jenna.
Jenna.
Rowing.
All right. So the next of our core elements is student as expert. And student as expert means adults trust that students have the ability and the inclination to solve academic and social problems, instead of assuming students need adults to solve problems for them. In this next activity, I'm going to challenge you to take a moment to write down the name of a tool that you find helpful when you are solving a problem. So this can be anything at all, but a tool that you find helpful when you're solving a problem. So in a moment, we're going to share those tools with everyone. You've got it written down? All right. So you wrote down a tool that you use to solve a problem. I'm going to present you with a problem, and you're going to think about how you would use that tool that you wrote down to actually solve that problem. No matter what you wrote down there, challenge yourself to keep what you've got on the paper. So here is the problem. You get to school tomorrow morning, all of your students are in your classroom, and all of a sudden the power goes out. This tool that you have written down is what you're going to use to solve that problem. So what are you going to do? Aletta, let us know.
Oh, well, my tool is voice memo on my phone. How am I going to use it to solve the problem? I'm going to invite all my kids to create a shared voice, expression, a voice memo, and then we're going to call up Pepco, the power company, and play it to them and let them know how urgent it is for them to turn the power back on.
Love it. That might really compel them to move.
I think it will.
Cosby, what did you bring?
I have a calendar. So let's see, if the lights go out, I'll look at my calendar and let's say it's the 23rd of the month. We're going to play 23 different games.
Love it. I love it. And the games would be things that your students will generate?
Yes, we'll come up with a list of 23 games and we'll try to play each one of them to the best of our ability in the dark.
That sounds very fun. Christine, how about you?
I brought a pros and cons list. So I would have all of my students write down their pros and cons about being stuck in the dark, get some kids excited about it, and maybe get away from some negative thinking for the kids who could be scared to come up with what's good about it.
Ooh, I like that. Using it for a class discussion. Jaquetta.
I brought my planner so I can move any tasks that maybe we can't do with the power out to a different day. So
That's good. Looking forward, figuring out how to reorganize. That's a major skill teachers need to use all the time. Isabel.
I brought understanding. So that's twofold. First, we can figure out how to understand why the power may have gone out, come up with some theories on what's going on, and then also understanding how the situation is affecting each of us on an individual and like a communal level.
I want to be in these classrooms when there's a power outage. That sounds like an amazing discussion that would actually extend far beyond after the power comes back on. Maria.
Like Jaquetta, I also brought my planner, and I would use it to kind of work together, make a big list of all the things we need to do, talk about which ones are how high of a priority, and just make sure everyone is safe and we get the power back as soon as possible.
Fantastic. Michelle, how about you?
Similar to Maria and Jaquetta, I brought a notebook. And so we could make lists about things we could do. We could write stories. We could be creative. And if all else fails, we can create origami.
There's going to be a lot of creativity happening in these classrooms. Bella. Oh, sorry. Yep, Bella.
Mine was very similar. I brought a pencil and a piece of paper. So I think we would doodle a little bit to keep our minds off of a very stressful situation, playing a game or doodling instead.
So thank you so much. So all of these examples that you shared come from the tools that you use to be able to help yourself solve problems. So when we talk about student as expert, we talk about starting from the place of the knowledge that our students have, the expertise that our students have, their skills, their ideas, and then they bring those to the problems and things that we engage with in the classroom. So this is a small example of the kinds of thinking that we might do with teachers that we encourage them to do with their students, and then they expand on that and think about what are more ways that my students can bring their expertise into what we're learning together in the classroom.
And our next core element is purpose, persistence, and action, which means very simply that we're always focused on a goal. We're always engaged in something that's meaningful to us and to our students. It means that students are fully engaged intellectually, emotionally, and physically. You've seen us moving. We want movement in the classroom as well in what they're doing. Students persevere in making decisions and solving problems and making discoveries along the way. And that connects to a core belief we have in Inspired Teaching, which is that if we want to teach somebody, if we want to truly engage them in learning, we need to know our students well. And we also need to think in terms of meeting their needs rather than controlling their behavior. A lot of us at the start of the year are encouraged to create behavior management plans. We encourage you instead to think about not how do I get the kids to follow the rules, but what can I do to set my students up so that they can thrive in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And I want to ask to our participants, does someone want to share a behavioral challenge you've had in the past or even in the present with a student that you'd like some help on?
Well, I've had a number of students in my AP US history class who they lacked confidence in their ability to pass the exam at the end of the year. Some of them had signed up for the class for the GPA boost, but in terms of actually passing the exam, their confidence was fairly low, and that would exhibit itself in different behaviors over the course of the year.
So you maybe felt like they didn't want to be in the class, or were in the class maybe without having really been ready to do the work or been interested in being fully engaged and present.
Yes, especially when I turn to matters of like particulars about the exam.
All right, so let's take a look. We'll go back to the slide. Let's take a look at the tool that we turn to when we're wanting to engage students who are struggling. And it's called the ABCDEs of learner needs. And it's a shorthand to help us remember them. But the A is autonomy. And when this need's not being met, a student may feel, I do not have a say in what happens to me. And maybe a student got sort of, maybe a college counselor said you got to take the AP US history course, or maybe a parent said that, or maybe there was pressure to take the course that didn't come from the student themselves. Belonging, when that need is not being met, I may feel I'm not connected to or valued by those around me. And I can imagine perhaps a student in a classroom feeling like, hey, everybody's into this class and I don't feel part of this community. Cosby, you already mentioned confidence and competence. I don't feel a sense of worth or accomplishment if I'm struggling and I don't feel I'm good at something. Developmental appropriateness, if that's not met, I may feel I'm not challenged enough or I'm too challenged. I'm way out of my comfort zone. I can't learn. Engagement, if that's not met, I may feel bored. I'm not using my mind, body in an active way, though I suspect in your classroom, Cosby, that's not a challenge, but it certainly can be for many kids. And then fun. Fun's actually a need that not only our kids have, but we have. And it makes us, when we do things that are fun, it makes us feel good. And if we're not getting to do things that make us feel good, that need for fun is not met. So when we have students who are engaging in challenging behaviors, we encourage teachers, again, not to ask, what do I need to do to get this kid to follow the rules? But what may there be a need that's not being met? And how can I help the student address that need? And we have a whole website at Inspired Teaching on our website, and we'll share all these resources in the links. We have a website called the ABCDEs of Learner Needs embedded in our website, this resource. And it's a series of sort of self-quizzes and activities you can do and handouts to look first at you as an adult. What are my needs and where might they be being met and where might they not be met? And also, what are my students' needs and how can I make sure I'm looking at them? So if I have a child who's engaging in unwanted behavior, instead of thinking, well, what consequence can I impose that'll get this kid to cut it out? What if I think, I wonder if her sense of belonging might not be met properly? What might I be able to do to address that? And that's helping a child to thrive as opposed to just, getting them to follow the rules. So this is one of our tools that, again, we created for and with teachers, and we'll share with you as we're done here. And Jenna, you're muted. That's how you know we're live.
That's true. So one of our needs that we have as teachers is to be able to show evidence that our students are learning in the classroom and to show evidence of their growth. And a lot of times that puts us into thinking about things like essays or quizzes or tests that they have to do at the end of a unit that we're teaching. But we work with teachers a lot to think about all the different ways that you can show your learning that don't necessarily fall into those traditional boxes. And we encourage teachers to think about multiple forms of assessment, multiple forms of demonstrating what students know, multiple ways of collecting data, looking at it, displaying it, valuing it, working with students to talk through their own evidence of learning. So we're going to take a minute right now to think about all the different ways that now you, as a grown person, show your learning. What evidence do you have around you that shows your own learning process right now? So look in the space that you're in your home, in your work. Look for something around you, an item that demonstrates your learning. And we're going to share those with one another in just a moment. So I'll share with you. I have a wind chime right here. I am going through the process of figuring out how to create wind chimes, and this is the product of several hours of work figuring out how to make it actually make a chiming sound. You'd think that'd be easy, but it's not. So this is evidence of the fact that I did figure out how to make it make sound. I still have some improvements to make on it, but I can see myself learning just thinking about what this looked like when I first tried to do it. Someone else.
Let's see. Here is one of my shirts on its way to the dry cleaner. And if you look closely, you'll see the DC flag on the shirt. And so I am trying to figure out ways to incorporate local history or DC history into my US history course.
I love it. That shirt's amazing. Who's next?
Well, I've been working on weightlifting and I started out with 5-pound weights, but evidence of learning is that now I can lift a 10-pound weight.
Oh, wow. That's some quick growth right there. I love it. Thank you.
This is my mouse, and it is evidence of my learning in that recently I've been really delving into a lot of technical things that I previously thought myself entirely incapable of. And for the most part, nothing has blown up in my face just yet. So hoping that it continues in that direction, and it's good to have that mouse as a reminder.
I love it.
I keep next to my desk a copy of my favorite proverb, which says, "Be not afraid of growing slowly, be afraid only of standing still," which is a constant reminder to me that growth does not happen instantly or overnight. It is a lifelong process.
Absolutely. So important. I love all these different artifacts and their wide range. Who else?
I have a couple of sticky notes, and I use them to list my tasks for the day. And I am learning kind of how many tasks I can viably get done during the day, and how many is too many.
I love it. And also I love that those sticky notes can be artifacts of your journey. They can document where you came from and where you're going.
I have here a glass of water that's almost empty, which is evidence of my learning that drinking water is actually very important for your health, which is something that people tell you, but is hard to, fully grasp until you start doing it and noticing changes in your own body.
Absolutely.
So it's almost empty. I've been drinking it. It's evidence of my learning.
I love that. And I'm thinking as I'm listening to what everybody's sharing about the objects that you were drawn to share, the fact that we're learning a lot just from the verbal sharing you're doing here, but think about in the classroom how students can do writing that illustrates these same ideas that you're sharing, how they can draw pictures of it, how they can have turn and talk conversations with their peers about it. Thank you. Who's next?
I could go. I've got a used book here that I got from a little free library right near where I live. And it is evidence of learning about how to sort of be really present in the community and, maybe pick up a good book and pass it on when you're done. Just kind of.
I love it. I love it. Just even noticing what the reading material is that you have next to you can be a real, documenting of what you're interested in or what serendipitously has come across your path that you want to learn about.
I have a plant, which is a bit of a symbolic plant because this is not mine, but mine is downstairs and it's a tomato plant. And we're growing tomatoes, which is like a totally new project to me this summer. And so I guess I'm learning how to have a better green thumb.
Fantastic. So these are all examples of how we are learning, and look at this wide range. Nobody held up a test. Nobody held up an essay that they wrote. Nobody even held up any sort of presentation that they did. Although I'm sure all of us have all of those as examples of our learning. But all of the things that you brought to the table are examples that are based in who you are, and the way that you shared them also centers you as an expert in sharing your learning. And this is the kind of thing that we do with teachers to have them think, how might that translate into the classroom? What's the equivalent that might happen in my classroom of students being able to see that they could lift a 5-pound weight today and they can lift a 10-pound weight tomorrow? And in that process, how can I have students be at the center of thinking about how they demonstrate their learning instead of me being the one who's always telling them this is what learning looks like? So that's one of our next core elements. And I'm going to take you to our last one here, which is talking about joy. And we talk about joy as not a nice to have, but a central piece of what you do in the classroom. Joy means students and teachers know they are valued and feel a sense of belonging in school. It means students and teachers embrace an asset-based stance and take pride in their work. And at times like these, where we find so much of the conversation about what needs to happen in schools centering around social and emotional learning, conversations about joy really create the space for thinking about that. So when we talk with teachers about joy, it's not just about laughs and giggles, but joy can be serious work. It's when I am thoroughly engaged in something and time, I lose sense of time because I care so much about what I'm learning about. It can also mean feeling a sense of belonging in my classroom community. So what I have on the screen right here is just an example of one of the tools we share with teachers. It's a tool that you could use as an exit ticket at the end of class, or even as something you could do at the beginning of class. And it invites students to think about the fact that you can't really pour from an empty cup. So how am I feeling inside myself? Do I feel full? Do I feel not full? Are there places, I'm thinking about the water glass that Isabel just held up. Where are you in each of these categories in terms of your feelings of safety, connectedness, or hope? And you can learn a lot from your students. This is another example of multiple data points, just from seeing what they draw on these on a sheet like this, and then taking that and saying, looking at this, what needs might I need to address with my students so that they can be full in all of these categories. And one of the things that we try to do with teachers is actually bring them a lot of joy in the learning and work that we do with them. And Aletta's going to talk about a couple other ways that you can engage with us this school year.
It's our great joy to support teachers, to support all of you as you do the extraordinary work of teaching and supporting your students. At Inspired Teaching, we call teachers instigators of thought. We believe that's our job. It's our job to help kids learn how to think, not tell them what to think. And we have lots of resources to help you do that. First of all, what you've just witnessed today, a very, very quick version of our monthly Inspired Teaching Institutes. We have those every month of the school year, one time online for anybody, and once in person for folks in the DC region. The next one online is September 7th in the evening, and in person is September 10th. All the information is, you'll see it right there on the screen. And again, you'll have those links. So come join us, and it's free. Thanks to our wonderful funders, we're able to provide the institutes free of charge. We also have our Making School Worth It year-long guide, handbook for teachers. And this is the 22-23 version that's just been released, filled with activities, support, resources for you to make school engaging for students. All of the activities are linked to standards and appropriate for kids of any ages, and specific, you'll see specific content areas linked, and also many activities that can be utilized for any content area. And we also have the Speak Truth guidebook for teachers. Speak Truth is a program we've been running for close to a decade that brings young people together to talk to one another about the issues of our time. They have talked about every issue you can imagine in a way that is respectful and honest and authentic, and something we adults can certainly learn how to do in our own lives, and our country's leaders could learn a lot from the way our young people have learned to talk to each other. If you want to engage kids in these kind of conversations in your classroom, download the Speak Truth guidebook. It'll take you step by step through the process for doing so. And there are many more resources and opportunities on our website, which is www.inspiredteaching.org. Everything is there. We're so happy to have you join us. In our remaining moments, Jenna, I know, has received a few questions, and she's going to do her best to answer as many as she can in the time we have left.
Sure. Yep. So one of our questions is, can anyone take these institutes, or are they specific to particular grade levels? One of the neat things about our institutes is that they are open to everybody, no matter what grade you teach. And we do use breakout rooms and things like that to have you have an opportunity to talk with teachers who might teach a similar grade as you. But we actually find that there's a lot of fertile learning that happens when a pre-K teacher and a middle school teacher and a high school teacher get together and really think about how do we meet our students' needs, and share their experiences across those very different contexts. Some of our programs are specific to high school, so some of the work that we do with Speak Truth and our other youth programs do focus on working with high school students. But the institutes are available to everybody, and Hooray for Monday and the Making School Worth It guidebook that Aletta just shared are available to everybody. Can more than one teacher from a school participate? Absolutely. We have no limit. You can bring as many of your colleagues as you like to our institutes. And we actually find that that's a really lovely way to take the learning back to your school, because you have colleagues that you can collaborate with and think about how to adapt it to the particular context of the students that you work with. So groups of teachers are always welcome, and our institutes are always free. So it's a great way to get access to some engaging professional learning and do that with your peers. What if we want particular PD for our school? Can you do that? We can do that. We would love to do that. Again, go to our website. We have forms on there that you can fill out with your inquiry, and we will look forward to working with you to talking about how to customize that learning. So any other questions that you may have, you can reach out to us again through the contact us form on our website, and we look forward to learning more with you. But this brings us to the conclusion of our half hour, and thank you for sharing this time with us. Any final words, Aletta?
It's been a great pleasure working with you all. Thanks, colleagues, for joining us. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Come learn with us this year.